What's up YouTube? My name is Uncle Smokey, and this is Uncle Smokey Stock Trades. And before I start this video, I would like to say, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. So please take what I say with a grain of salt, and do your own DD. Happy Monday morning, everybody. It is going to be a huge week in the overall stock market this week, and we're going to go ahead and see why that is here in just a moment. Before we do, we're going to start out like we generally do. We've got the indices on our screen. So we've actually been in a great uptrend for the last several days, actually a couple of weeks. Looks like we're getting ready to start our third green week in a row. As far as goes to the SPY, as you can see, 362.17 was our bounce point, and it's been going up ever since. On the Dow, you're looking at the same exact thing. You're at 296.27, going up ever since. In the NASDAQ at 10.5, bounced off of that and has been going up ever since as well. We are basically following these wonderful trend lines that I set up a while back. Once it hits this point where I can draw a line, I draw it out far. So anyway, and you're also looking at on the RSI. The RSI is currently hot as far as it goes to the NASDAQ. The Dow and the SPY, they're all looking pretty up there. The NASDAQ is the highest of all of them, scraping that 70 mark. But the MACD is still holding strong, MACD over the signal line, and the signal cruising over the histogram line. So we're still looking pretty good as far as it goes with the NASDAQ, and I'd expect to keep seeing that. But, and Bitcoin's still making big moves north. I am so pleased with this investment that I made. It hasn't come down since. It's not retapped at that level. I'm still looking strong. As a matter of fact, every single week I'm dumping an additional $50 to $100 into Bitcoin to try and up that amount of half a coin that I have. I'd like to get to at least a full half a coin before year's out. That takes a lot. There's a lot of money involved in that. So, anywho, moving on to the internet. So, pre-markets, like I said, we're looking Dow up 90 points. It's S&P 500 mini up 13 points. NASDAQ up 56.5 points, and the Russell mini up 5.5 points. And I do want to say that is on the back of the U.S. Senate approves bill to fight climate change and cut drug costs in a win for Biden. So the Inflation Reduction Act did get passed yesterday, and that's, I guess, a good and a bad. To me, I don't see a whole lot of good coming out of this as far as it goes. There is some really good incentives as far as the drug costs and stuff like that. IRS is getting $80 billion. Here's the important thing to note about this. This is going to increase inflation in the now. Like, it's going to build it up now. A lot of this stuff doesn't even start to really take effect for a couple of years yet. And then it's really not going to help out until the back end of this decade. You're looking more towards 27, 28, 29 before this really takes effect. This is not going to cut inflation that much. It's still going to be basically relying on the Fed. This is just kind of in hope of the Fed creating a soft landing. This could hinder as well. So just keep that in mind. This bill is not necessarily a good thing. In the now, it may be because it's going to help spending towards clean energy and things like that. They did help with the oil and gas pipelines. There was some stuff put into the language with that. So we may see some positivity in there. But overall, I don't truly believe in my heart that this is a entirely good thing that's coming in front of us. So I don't know, I guess we just have to let time play out. One interesting thing that was said here, though, by Chuck Schumer: to Americans who have lost faith in Congress that can do big things, this bill is for you, he said. This bill is going to change America for decades. I think he meant to say this is going to change America in decades, not for decades. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a freaking lawnmower salesman and food truck builder. Anyway, so later on this week, we do have some big things coming out. Obviously, on Tuesday, MetaMaterials has their earnings coming out. That'll be in the evening time. I don't know what time. If it comes out early enough, we'll pop on live. We'll break through it together, like we've done the last couple of times. If it doesn't come out till really, really late, though, we're just going to hold off till Wednesday morning and let Ken and George tell us what's going on, because I will be live for the earnings call Wednesday morning. Now, the same day, Wednesday morning, the same exact day, at 8:30 a.m., we do have the CPI coming out. That is the Consumer Price Index, and that is basically just the lagging indicator of what has gone on over the course of the last month and a week, roughly. With the pricing of goods and things like that. The day after that, you've got Producer Price Index, the PPI. That is the not lagging indicator, but the future indicator. So CPI tells what's going on with the consumer. PPI tells you what's going on with the producer, the manufacturer. Lets you know what their pricing is. So if they're getting things lower cost than what they were in the previous month, that shows that the CPI coming up should drop down as well. So CPI is lagging, which is something that you have to take in consideration. If it goes up a little bit on Wednesday, expect for the markets to come down. If it goes down a little bit, expect for the markets to go up, vice versa. And then same thing with the PPI. Now, the PPI could be what sets the market's course for good. If it comes in lower, so say that the pricing of goods for the producer has come down some, and the shipping costs have come down and everything else has come down, then you would expect to see the next CPI come down as well. And that's an extremely bullish indicator. Now, if it goes up, who knows what's going to happen? You may see higher inflation rate hike, or interest rate hike. Powell may come out and say, hey, we need to do a midpoint rate hike. We may need to do that because nothing's stabilizing, nothing's coming down. If he wants to get inflation under control, he needs to act tough and hard. That's the way that works. Tough and hard now to soften it up later. So just keep that in mind. And then on Friday, you're going to have the consumer sentiment. And consumer sentiment is extremely important. The consumer sentiment is it's an economic indicator that measures how optimistic consumers feel about their finances and the state of the economy. So basically, how much are they spending compared to how much are they making? Are they putting their funds back into the economy, or are they just putting it in the bank account, saving money for that rainy day that they're expecting? So that's going to be another big report coming out that is going to help tell people where the country feels like they're at. So you've got a lot of things coming out this week. On to metamaterials really fast. I got to go to work. So it looks like this morning we are seeing one hell of a good pop as far as it goes. The volume overall is looking basically level. It's not like it's astronomical in any way. Let's take a look at these level 2s really quick. So we've got a $26,000 wall at 105. That's at the ask. And then we've got at 94 cents, a 13,664 buy zone. So just keep that in mind. They're setting up their zones right now as it goes, but you're going to see that clear up maybe a little bit later in the morning. The 4-hour chart. So this is the reason why I haven't made a whole lot of videos lately on metamaterials. Look what has been happening. This is over the course of the last 2 weeks. Nothing is happening. Nothing at all. We are most literally seeing everything flatten out and just wait for something to happen. You obviously know we saw an offering several weeks ago, coming up a little over a month ago now, and we're waiting to see who got those shares. It was a private placement, so it doesn't mean that these just got publicly put out in the market. Actual investors have those shares that got dumped into the market. They didn't get dumped, I shouldn't say that. That got placed into the market for those investors. I want to know who has them. I want to know. I want to know soon. We may not know, but I would love to know. The one thing that you want to keep in mind, though, is when you zoom in on everything, look at what's going on. So a couple days ago, we did make a cross again. It actually kind of crossed and crossed over. But we have been holding above that signal line for a little over a week now. And we've barely dipped below it, like I said, right here for basically after hours. The MACD is indicating that we are still looking green. Even though we've not been seeing new highs, we have seen a couple of new lows recently. The MACD is showing green. It is stable, steadily moving up, as well as the RSI. So just keep that in mind. When we've been seeing these new lows, we were not seeing new lows in the RSI like this right here, coming down here. This was 87, this was 87. We're not seeing new lows. It's great. So that's a little bit of bullish divergence. Looking out at the 1 day, same exact thing. So on the 1 day, it's even more bullish to look at. Main reason being, that signal line has been under the MACD line for quite some time. This is a couple of weeks now. Also, we're seeing nothing but green bars in the histogram. The sentiment, as far as it goes with metamaterials and the buyer side, the retail side, is strong. We know what we hold. We know what the company has. We're basically dealing with pure manipulation to hold this thing below a buck. And the reason why we know that is because if we go over here to Ortex, as you can take a look at the live short interest. So I've changed up my Ortex screen down here a little bit for you guys. And the reason why I did this is because I want you to see this green line. This is the Ortex estimated short interest. So back here before the offering, which is right here, before the offering, we were cruising around the 47 to 50 million range in estimated short interest, right? And Ortex estimated short interest isn't far off from the actual short interest. What you want to pay attention to, though, is look what happened when the offering came. Prices dropped dramatically. The short interest did not. A lot of the indicators dropped dramatically because the indicators are going off of the amount of shares available according to the free float. And because they don't know what the free float has done, it's even though we know that the shares aren't freely trading right now, it still goes into the free float because there was that clause they can sell. It's just there's a lag on it. They can't sell right now. So they can potentially become into the free float. So it raised the amount of shares available and dropped the indicators for that reason. But if you look, that short interest never really did go away. Dropped a few million, that's it. We're currently sitting on 31.34 million in live short interest, all right? So we're still sitting way up there. There's still a ton of short interest, but because of the introduction of shares onto the market, it dropped the percentages. It dropped, the overall time it's going to take for them to cover those shares because there's more shares available, even though there really isn't. It's confusing, but that's the way it's working. Anywho. So currently we're looking at 79.81% utilization, cost to borrow 17.62%. It would take 3.5 days to cover all the shares on loan, which is 21.5 million shares. And that is 6.6% of the free float. There's 9.64% of the free float estimated as short interest, which would cost about $30 million overall to cover right now with today's volume how long it would take. Moving on out to Fintel. Fintel is showing that IBKR only has about 650,000 shares available to be lent from a leading prime brokerage, which is IBKR. Sorry, that was Fintel showing that. And then last thing we're going to take a look at really quick is the short volume. As you can see, we are still seeing astronomically high short volume. We are always over 50% almost every single day. A couple of them just below. And those are kind of your weak volume days. In all honesty, they've all been kind of weak volume days. But when you see a slightly green day, you're going to have less short interest just because the buyer stepped in a little bit heavier. There was also possibly a little bit of coverage, a little bit of back and forth going on between hedge funds and market makers. So when you see these lower short interest days on a ticker like ours, it's not because they're easing up. If you were to see it consecutively like we did back here, they were easing up a bit. It's just basically they laid off for the day, or they went opposite for a day to try and help increase their position. So finally, and I didn't even bring this up here, we're going to take a look at what is good old George got going on. So George came out the other day on Stock Twits and tossed down a big one. We're going to throw that one out here first. Wow, this thing ain't cooperating. There we go. So there are a few trolls around and a lot of talk about a reverse split. For the record, as long as I am CEO of this company, there will not be any reverse split due to the company being below $1. As far as I'm concerned, this is about the cheapest our stock has ever been on NASDAQ, thanks to the market conditions, so you can decide what you would like to do with your investments and your votes at the next AGM. It is known June 21st, reverse split was a requirement by NASDAQ. This was June of 2021. Reverse split was a requirement by NASDAQ due to compliance for new listings. We are about to release our Q results Tuesday, so I apologize having to tell you this, but even trolls should know that we are in blackout. No insider can currently trade until after the results are out. I historically buy and add to my position every chance I get and allowed, and will continue to do so for as long as I am CEO of this company. We are working incredibly hard and looking forward to sharing updates next week. Thank you in advance to those who will dial in and listen. Appreciate your support, GP. Yeah, GP's hitting them hard, and I love it. Also, the other person that's back is Radar. Radar, there he is. Right there. Radar is back, guys. He's actually hitting it with some music too as well. So make sure you make your way to Stock Twitch. Say hello to Radar. Also, GP, I appreciate you, my man. That is very important to come out and make statements like that. They're bold statements, but it's important that you do that. A lot of people will say that you're just pumping it up. You're trying to make things look like they aren't. You're not. You're backing the investor. You're saying, hey, look, we're here. We're here for you. There's not much we can do or say, but just stick with us. We've got a plan, and it's going to unfold. If you don't like it, get the hell out of here, right? So, anywho, that's what I got for you guys today. I got to go to work. This is actually a little bit longer than I want it to be. Like, subscribe. Make sure that you're commenting for the algorithms below. If you're new to the channel, I've got a lot of things going on here. Food truck video just came out last night. That's the very first one of the installments, so make sure if you guys would like, go check out my food truck video. If you don't want to, that's fine too. I don't care. I love y'all anyway. Peace, y'all. Catch you on Tuesday or Wednesday.